Hey, what's going on, family? Torsten Tease guitars, man. I want to talk about once again, quality control steps in and saves the day, right? It saves the day. Um, you guys know, most of you know anyway. Some of you know, right? Some of you know. Hopefully, we'll get some new likes and some new subscribers and some shares and things like that. But regardless, these SBHD guitars. Um, they came in, we didn't get the whole shipment in because part of our quality control process is while I still have some leverage, in other words, before I give them the rest of their money, right? And before they can ship these guitars, I have to sign off on all these guitars. So they sent these SBHDs in, man. I plugged them in, I played them. They were beyond phenomenal. I mean, absolutely. It sounded great, felt great. The new stainless steel frets are great. The upgraded locking tuners from the other model, the SBH, we upgraded those tuners, and those are on a scale out of 10. They're like a 9 out of 10. They're just really good tuners, and I was real happy with that. I was happy with the factory setup. Everything was just right on point. Strings are at 175. The stainless steel ball end rounded frets, gritty. They were gritty, and so these are things that we catch. And so then we took it apart, right? Because we got to take every single thing apart. We took the tuners apart. We took the nut off. We took the strings off. We took the bridge apart. We took everything apart. Well, we pulled the control panel off the guitar. And lo and behold, we sell CTS pots in these higher end guitars. And they're supposed to be 500s and 047 caps. And what I had in these things, what came to me, was none other than 250s, right? And that's our SB model. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like I said, this guitar sounded great, man. I was very, very, very pleased. We went ahead, we made some promo videos and all the other good stuff. I got a handful of them left, which I now have to toss out because we're going to make some new ones. But so I took what I had. I had my personal SBH guitar, and I took the 500 pots out of that and the cap out of that, and we swapped over the control panel and we put it in this new guitar, and it's a whole different guitar. I'll give you a demonstration of the difference between the 250 and the 500s, just so you can see the difference and how big of a difference it is. It's not just a little difference. So I don't know how that happened, right? One of two things either happened. Either they were trying to save some money, right, and just blatantly lied to me, which I'd hate to think, but is very possible. Or my parts got messed up with somebody else's parts. Well, if that's the case, just swap my parts out with the other person's. But going back and forth after this for 3 days, no sleep, right? Because I'm worried about these guitars, and I promised you guys guitars, and so I'm like, what the hell? Why he kept my manufacturer saying, I want to use these pots. I said, that's not what we ordered, and that's not what I want in my guitars. He wanted to send me 500 pots with zinc alloy shafts, and the CTS pots have brass shafts. And you're probably wondering, well, big deal. What's the difference in that? So it's not just the tone, right? It's the number of times you can turn the knob before it fails. So on these cheaper pots, you're looking at about 10,000 turns, right? They call it revolution life. Revolution life. So the number of revolutions that can turn before there's a good chance that it's going to fail. That's 10,000 on the CTS pots that we use in our guitars. It's 100,000. So it's 10 times better. So your tone pot's not going to fail. That's kind of the whole idea behind spending quite a bit of money on just CTS pots. I believe in good quality products, and I like to have them in my guitars, and I'm sure you guys would too. And now you see the reason behind it. So it's not just about the tone quality, And so after going back and forth, I was like, why can't we have CTS pots? Why can't we have CTS pots? What's the deal? Is it the cost? Is it the availability? And he's like, no, just use these. They're just as good. And I kept saying, no, we're not going to do that, man. He goes, well, we've got all these guitars. I said, figure it out, bro. Figure it out, And so finally he came clean with me. And he said, you know what? I didn't know what I was doing when I bid this job, and I underbid it. And he said X amount of dollars per unit, not pennies, but dollars per unit. And we can get you the CTS pots. I said, dude, you kept me up for 3 nights and days, man. why don't you just tell me that? If it's a matter of money, it's not that much money, but it's a considerable amount of money. And I spent a considerable amount of money ripping into these guitars. We spent hours trying to figure out what's going on with these guitars, and then I have 500 pots laying around. I didn't have any CTS pots, so we put the aftermarket pots in that he was my supplier was suggesting, and it sounded really good. It sounded really good actually, but it wasn't a CTS pot. It didn't have the longevity of the life, the life of the pot. I want to, again, we get back to mine now. I'm trying to bring some of these guitars. You look like they were made in the 50s and the 60s, and that's cool. Well, I want to bring back the same customer service. That's kind of what we do. We're not creating anything new, nothing new. This is just how I was raised. And when I grew up, companies that you went and bought stuff from, they had good customer service. They had good quality parts. They had steel cars, not plastic cars. We had same thing with Matchbox cars. We had metal Matchboxes. We had metal Tonka toys. Our Legos didn't come with instructions. We had to be creative with them. Things like that. So we're just bringing back old school customer service and old school quality. And I want to make sure, and again, transparency is everything. We're still going to get the guitars around June 1st. Should be around June 1st. They're actually pulling everything apart and putting everything back together the way that I ordered it, the way that it should be, the way that I want to sell it, and the way that I want you guys to have it. So let me hit pause and plug this guitar, and I'll show you the difference. All right, so this is my old SBH, and like I said, I didn't want it just to go to waste, so we put the 250 pots that came with it. That's going to be your bridge, then your middle. Your humbucker in the bridge. So that's it. Remember that volume right there, right? Now we're going to put this 500 pot in here on the new SBHD. Don't do this. You should turn your amps on and off before, but that's what it is. So here's the bridge on this one. So there's the 500 pot in the neck. There's the middle. And then here's the bridge. So you can see there's quite a bit of difference, right? It's not just a little bit of difference. And those are CTS pots in that. Those are going to last me for a long time. The import 500 pots sounded good. Again, they will fail before these pots. These pots, you'll get 100,000 turns out of them before you have to put new pots in. Pots aren't really that expensive. You can probably get pots for about $10. And they're not too hard to put in if you know how to solder. If you don't know how to solder, it's going to cost you about $80 to have them put in, but then you've got a brand new guitar again for another 100,000 revolutions of your volume and your tones, So again, quality control is very important to us. I wanted to be transparent and tell you guys about it. So we were supposed to have the guitars. They were going to ship one day, and I caught it at the last second. I was like, hey man, no, we're not, we can't do this, And it's not that we can't do it. It's that it threatens my integrity. It threatens the integrity of the company, and honesty is a big part of what we had. So here's an opportunity for me just to say, hey, you know what? These things sound great. We're going to sell them as is anyways. Well, I put up ads and I've probably reached over 1 million people that said these things are going to have CTS pots in them. Why can't they have CTS pots in them? It doesn't seem like a big deal. It's a big deal to me. It's a big deal to me, and I'd want to be told. So I thought I'd go ahead and tell it myself and let you guys know that we're still doing the same deal. Nothing's faltered. We're not gonna do what most companies do, and that's just to get an inferior product in and then ship it out to you guys, and then the ones who catch it, complain, we'll take care of. Yeah, we're gonna circumvent the whole even getting it with something that's not a superior product. Again, Tease Guitars You know, we're relationable. We're not transactionable. You're more than just a number, another mark in the check mark of sales. We sold a lot of guitars, and we'll continue to sell a lot of guitars. And we appreciate your loyalty. We got some loyal people, um, and we do appreciate that. And for those of you who haven't tried a Tease guitar, man, go to some of these guitar groups and see what people are talking about in Tease guitars. You know, guarantee you won't find a nicer guitar for the money. A lot of times you won't. These are a lot nicer than some of the nicer guitars out there. I promise you, they are. We put a lot of time and we put a lot of care into the products that we put in your hands. So the necks are great. You know, the frets are great. Bridges are great. Tremolos are good. You know, the locking tuners we got on these things are great. We're already working on another line of guitar right now. A new one coming out. I'm not going to talk about that, but I'm excited about it. I can tell you that, man. It's going to be the king of all kings. You know, and you guys know, we price our guitars right, man, and we back them up. We back them up. You know, I put them together so I don't really have to back them up, but there's a 1 year warranty on any electronic components that you get with the Tease guitars on any model, and we'll back that up at any time. So, as always, family, rock on, and I appreciate you checking in. And like I said, like, subscribe, share, do all that other good stuff. It's the only way we're going to grow as a company, and we appreciate you growing with us, man. Take care.